You are listening to the Fire Rescue Athlete Podcast with your host, Aaron Zamzow.
What's going on, FRF Nation, Fire Rescue Athlete Podcast? Aaron Zamzow here. Today I'm going to talk about body weight training. And specifically, we're going to talk about suspension training. And if you are new to the fitness industry or new to the fitness game here with either firefighters and just in general, suspension training means using straps, webbing, rings, some type of hanging apparatus to allow you to do body weight strength. Now, TRX is probably the most common way or common fitness equipment when it comes to suspension training. As a matter of fact, they may even ping me for saying suspension training and not mentioning their name. I think they actually have a copyright on suspension fitness training. It's actually been around for many, many years. Gymnastics use it, or gymnasts have used it for many years, but it's very beneficial for us as first responders. Actually, the company, the TRX company started, it was a Navy SEAL that created the TRX, I don't even know, 20, 25 years ago, to help them stay fit in the field when they're on missions and when they don't have access. And I think, and that's still pertinent today. I think it's really, really a great training tool for us as first responders because it's so versatile, because it's, it doesn't require a lot of space. It doesn't require, a lot of expensive equipment. And we're going to touch on those things in a little bit. But first and foremost, I just wanted to make sure that you guys are staying fit, you're staying safe, and you're staying positive during this time. Fire Rescue Fitness, we actually have a specific page that's set up to help with you guys in the front line, your firefighters, EMTs, medics, police officers, dispatchers, to help you stay fit. There's some articles, foods that you should be eating to help with your immune system, and also a free workout program. And I'll leave that link in the message here in the notes section of this particular blog. But I wanted to make sure that you focus on that. And that actually transfers really well into what we're talking about today with the suspension training, because when, the COVID virus took over, a lot of gyms closed down, and people were scrambling for fitness and equipment and means of staying fit. And I actually created this 40-day program, and I used suspension training. Now, I used webbing. I also tied some blankets together, two long blankets, and then you throw them over a door, and you can utilize that for your suspension training system. Again, I mentioned TRX. There's other types of suspension trainers on the market. There's Lifeline. If you go to Amazon.com, you will see there's probably about 15 different variations of equipment, all with the same kind of ideals. And today I wanted to talk about maybe just the framework of suspension training, why it's really beneficial for us, and then how you can actually start to implement it into your programs. So first and foremost, let me explain a little bit. So suspension training, as I mentioned earlier, it's basically there's straps that you can use to suspend from a higher point or a fixed point. What's very convenient is these straps or suspension trainers can go up over the top of a door. Then you can close the door, inward facing door. You close that. And that's really all you need, minimal amount of space around that doorway. And you're good to go for numerous exercises with that suspension training. Now, what can the straps be made of? I mentioned earlier, I've even just tied 2 bed sheets together, and you could do rows and a lot of chest press, tricep extension, bicep curls. You can use it to help with balance as you do single leg squatting and bring your arms up overhead to work a full squat. That's another option that doesn't cost a lot of money. A lot of us have long blankets and sheets laying around the house. In firehouses, I know my firehouse, we have a lot of white blankets and sheets in around. And I actually demonstrate in this 40-day program how you tie them together and throw it over the top of the door. And that's what I've used actually at times. You can also take a webbing strap, about 1 inch thick webbing that we use a lot of times for survival. We use them to help hoist tools. We help to, tie 2.5 inch hose line on ladders and on different things. And used for drags and rescues in the fire service. This webbing, you could buy a roll of webbing, a 30-foot roll, I think on Amazon for $9. I like to use 16-foot strips, and I tie them into two 8-foot straps, and then actually use a figure 8 knot and tie handles into it. And you have just a more generic version of a suspension training system. That's another option. The advantages of the TRX and some of the other on-market or market versions of suspension training are that they're easily adjustable. They might be a little bit more durable and comfortable on your hands. A lot of them have PVC pipe that's wrapped in padding, and they reinforce the friction points, and which would make them a little bit safer again, and they can adjust really easily. TRX was the one that actually patented the suspension training system and was the first to the market. And now as things start to loosen on their patent, I believe you're seeing other avenues and other options. Regardless, the training itself, the suspension training itself, is so advantageous for us for many reasons. But first of all, one of the things I really like about suspension training is that they're very functional. You utilize your body weight, and you can change that body weight and that resistance, which is another reason why I like them, based on how close your anchor point or your pivot point is to your anchor point. So let's take it, for instance, a chest press. If your feet are closer towards the door, in this case, if you have it anchored up over a door, and your hands are closer to the ground, you'll really find that this is a very, very challenging chest press or push-up exercise. And one of the reasons why it's so functional is that it works all the stabilizing muscles within the shoulder girdle, within the glutes, within the knees, within the ankles, and again, like we're seeing, within the shoulder complex as well. And that actually transfers to more functional strength on the fire ground and rescue scene, because we work in so many different planes of motion. On any particular rescue, on any particular fire, you are twisting, you're climbing, you're crawling, you're pushing, you're pulling, you're reaching. There are so many different movement patterns, and the more we can strengthen those ligaments, those tendons, the muscles of the spine to be functional and be strong through those different planes of movement, the better off we're going to be. And that's why I really like suspension training. And you'll find that it can be very challenging. I mentioned that if you change the way your pivot point is, where your feet are, you can actually get more resistance and less resistance. And I've had this argument and discussion with guys who are like, well, I really like to lift heavy weight. Well, I'll tell you what, typically they're heavier individuals, and I've put them on TRX, and I've watched them grunt, groan, sweat through trying to do 10 really good reps with the TRX in the right position, with their feet closer to the pivot point and their hands closer to the ground. And they struggle with it. Body weight training, pull-ups, even body weight rows, chest press are difficult. And for me, I think they're very, very functional. As you get older, like myself, closer to 50 than I am to 40, you find that it's a little bit easier on the joints also. And again, I think that transfers to it being more functional, and then ultimately transforming to you feeling better and performing better. So again, the first thing I like is that it's very functional. The second thing is that you can vary it from, you can vary that resistance by just changing the position of your feet, changing the position of your pivot point. And it's challenging for all levels of fitness. If you're just starting off, you could start further away from that anchor point, and you'll find that you'll still challenge yourself, but it's something that's obtainable and that you can actually perform. A third benefit of it is, that it kind of combines with the last point is it's versatile, but it's great for any level of fitness. Again, I mentioned the guy who really likes to train heavy and train hard. We could challenge them. And then those that have not done any movement for a while, this is a great way to get improved range of motion and functional strength. Another thing that I like about the TRX is that it has a very small footprint. You don't require a lot of room. And in firehouses, I know, in a lot of designs now, they're putting in room for fitness centers, but they don't take in consideration how many people will be working out there. So, you get a firehouse with 10 people to a double company, and it's a small workout room. Well, you could throw 2 or 3 of these up, and you could get 3 people working out in a very small area. So I really like how that small footprint is. As a matter of fact, when I do classes with my recruits, we'll sometimes attach these to top part of the ladder or the truck on the handles, the high handles, and you can use that as your pivot point. So you can actually do this in the bay, attaching it to some taller apparatus, which again makes it very, very versatile. And all these factors come together and make it functional, versatile. It's again good for all levels of fitness. And to me, it's a great thing to add to your workouts. Now, lastly, let's talk about, well, how can you do this? Well, for me, if I am on the road, I like to take a TRX or a piece of webbing, and I can do a full body workout right in the hotel room. It doesn't matter what they have for a fitness center. And now I think a lot of fitness centers and hotels are still not open. And if they are, they're minimally open. And this gives you an option to work out at home. If you have a firehouse that doesn't have a lot of equipment, you can use the TRX or suspension training as a addition to what you're doing or what you have options to. And if you're just starting off and you don't have stuff at home and you want to start resistance training because you should, and that's a whole nother blog and podcast topic, this is a great way to get started. It's good for the joints. It's good for movement patterns. It's functional, and it will help build strength. And lastly, if you haven't done any TRX and you want more tutorials, if you want a tutorial on how to integrate suspension training into a program, right now I got a free program, Get FRF in 40 Days, at-home program that utilizes suspension training. We also utilize dumbbells. You can either choose a workout based on what equipment you have, but it's an actual 40-day complete program. I actually have app access with it where we show you videos and demonstrate with pictures and describe exactly how you can incorporate suspension, body weight training into your workout programs to help you perform better, not only on the fire ground, but in life. And that's what we're ultimately after here with the Fire Rescue Athlete podcast. That's what we're all about with Fire Rescue Fitness. And that's what our programs are surrounded by. So this is a little brief. It's only about a 13-minute podcast, but I really wanted to get out there the benefits of suspension training and bodyweight training for first responders, firefighters, EMTs, and medics. This is Aaron Zamzow. Let me know how else I can help you and stay and get FRF, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to the Fire Rescue Athlete Podcast with your host, Aaron Zamzow. Please tune in again soon for more fitness tips for fire rescue athletes.